Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Vijay Singh Tawar, Associate Professor in English, and presently I have been posted at Government College, Guda. In the series of video lectures, which is being prepared by me, today's video lecture is meant for the students of English Literature BA Part 2nd, Paper 1st. The topic on which we are going to have a talk today is My Grandmother's House, a poem composed by Kamla Das. And in this video, we will discuss its explanation. As you know, there will be a compulsory question on reference to context. So something we should know about the poet. Kamla Das is one of the members of poetic trinity of Indo-Anglian poets, the other two being Nissim Ezkil and A.K. Ramanujan. The idea is there are three top poets in Indo-Anglian literature, and she is one of them. She is one of the most distinctive, different, and original of Indian poets writing in English today. When what she writes, she doesn't copy or imitate anybody, but she writes original. Her poetry has a large autobiographical content. She is labeled as a confessional poet. She is identified in the field of literature as a confessional who admits and who writes about herself. Her poetry is all about herself, about her intensely felt desire for love, for emotional involvement, and her failure to achieve such a relationship. Love and sex are a major theme in her poetry. Ms. Kamala Das writes on these two issues, sex and love. And she writes in the most candid manner, open-minded, openness, frank manner. She doesn't care for the restrictions and restraints which the social code, the society, and the convictions, that is traditions of society impose upon her. She doesn't care for the restrictions. She writes what she feels. She doesn't care whether it will be crossing the limit or not. She writes with openness. Now the poem. My Grandmother's House is an admirable lyric. It is a poem, lyric written by or composed by Kamla Das. It was first published in Summer in Calcutta in 1965. It was published that anthology, and in that anthology, this poem was included. It brings out the poet's nostalgic. So, friends, I have given the meaning of nostalgic means remembering past, missing something. When you missed something of the past, you are nostalgic. Yearning means desiring, wants for her family home in Malabar. Malabar, she had family house. Where she had passed some of the happiest days of her life and where her old grandmother had showered her love and her affection on her. When she spent her childhood there and she got love and affection from her grandmother. So she was attached to that house as well as grandmother. The grandmother is remembered in a number of lyrics, and both the family house and the grandmother are closely identified. In the present lyric, she remembers both the house and grandmother who once lived in it but is now dead. Thus, it is a reminiscent that is remembering the past. Poem written in the form of a dramatic monologue. In a dramatic monologue, which is made popular by Robert Browning, in which there is a speaker and there can be one listener or more than one listener. Listeners do not interfere with the speech. The speaker here is Kamla Das herself, and she seems to be talking to her husband, who, however, says nothing in the poem. Thus, in form, this poem resembles the dramatic monologues written by Robert Browning. To some extent, there is a similarity between this lyric and the monologues composed by Robert Browning. Now, let us come to the explanation of the poem. The poet begins the poem in very simple, ordinary language, as it appears as it is in prose. There is a house now far away. Means the poet says, there is a house, but this house is far away. It means the poet is living somewhere from where that house is very far away or is situated at a distance. Where once I received love. I shows the poet herself. Where the poet received love and affection in her childhood. That woman died. The woman who used to give her love and affection is dead. That is, her grandmother who used to give her love is dead. The house withdrew into silence. The impact is now there is no grandmother, nobody lives, so there is no activity in the house. It appears that the silence has invaded the house. Snakes moved among books. As she was very young, she could not understand the books, so the words written on the books were not understood by her. They were as horrible as reptiles or snakes. I was silence. I was then too young to read. She was very young. She could not read at that time. She could not understand at that time. And my blood turned cold like the moon. When she remembers it, she is almost frozen with fear at the passing away of her grandmother and seemed cold like the moon because there is now no warmth or love for the house or attachment with the house. How often I think of going there, the poet says. She often thinks of going there to peer through blind eyes of windows, peer through, to look through. She wants to look through the windows and just listen to the frozen air. She wants to feel the silent and cold environment of that house. Means she has a feeling of looking through the window panes, which might be colored or dust ridden, or in wild despair, sometimes in very frustrated manner, pick an armful of darkness to bring it here to lie behind my bedroom door like a brooding dog. There is a simile. Means the darkness of her grandmother's house can have no terrifying impact on her. She would like to gather some darkness, some memories of the grandmother's house and bring them to her present city residence. The very memories of her grandmother's house will have a soothing impact on her loveless and hopeless married life. As she was not satisfied with her married life, so it is quite possible that the memories of her grandmother may soothe or give comfort to her life. You can, you can't believe, darling, can you, that I lived in such a house? She is addressing to her husband and she says that, dear, you will not believe that I was living in such a house where I got love. Means now, because of loveless marriage, she was involved in many extramarital relationships. She was not happy in spite of that, but she was not getting that kind of emotional satisfaction which she got in the company of her grandmother. So she says that she got love from that house, and she at that time she was proud and she was loved by her grandmother. I who have lost my way. Now the situation has changed and she has lost her way, beg now at strangers' doors. Now has become a beggar. She begs at strangers' people's door to receive love, to try to get love, at least in small chain, in small quantity. What the poet wants to say is that it is loveless and hopeless married life that has crippled her sense of pride and love which she used to have in her grandmother's house. She has become a beggar for love who knocks helplessly at strangers' doors to receive at least in small measure. She has almost lost her way in search of genuine and selfless love. If we make a comment, we can say Kamala Das exposes the futility of loveless and hopeless marital relationship in these five concluding lines of the poem. It shows the agony and pain and humiliation of a married woman who is forced to seek extramarital relationship to seek love for her emotional satisfaction. It is the mood of nostalgia that dominates the closing phase of the poem. The poet is reminded of her grandmother's house where she received love and safety in her childhood. She has lost all her identity and freedom in her loveless relationship. What the poet wants to say, she wants to say that the present of her life is very dull, loveless. She is not happy at all. Though tries, she tries even to get satisfaction from strangers, but she is not happy at all. But there was a time when she was living with her grandmother, she was happy and perfectly okay. Thank you very much.